Hey, what's up, y'all? Malcolm Linden here.
Todd St. Hill here.
And today's day 5 of our trip here in Geneva. I'm sure some of y'all saw the tweets on Twitter, but we just wanted to give y'all a quick recap of the day.
Yeah, so we got in there and we wanted to hear what the U.S. had to say in regards to the questions asked by the UN delegation the day before. And yeah, it turned out that, no surprise, the U.S. Initially didn't say a word about police brutality or about misconduct in any form by law enforcement, or anything regarding the issues that we brought up in our report.
They sort of just glossed over everything and immediately talked about the values of the United States, that torture is prohibited everywhere in the country by every institution, and pointed out policies. But all of the questions by the original questions by the committee members were, when these policies are broken, right? What does that look like? What does accountability look like? And they didn't answer any of those questions. And then the committee members, and so while they were talking, they spoke on the issue of tasers. And then they said that, we've done studies, our departments have done studies to show that tasers aren't lethal. And immediately we looked at each other similar to how we did the other day and stood up. And we had plans to stand up. And we did because they said they weren't lethal. Like, we weren't here for Dominique Franklin. Like, we weren't here for Israel. Like, we weren't here for people who were literally dead. And so we immediately stood up after that. And yeah.
UN representatives came up to us and came up to Malcolm and asked us to stop, and told us that if we didn't stop, she would call the security on us and all that. And Malcolm said that he wasn't putting his arms down, and he can't put his arms down, right? And when I looked up, folks from Ferguson had their fists in the air. Folks from Sam and Sam had stood up in solidarity with us. Folks from NEIU stood up in solidarity with us. A lot of people stood up with us. And all the cameras in the room turned towards us. It was very similar to the day before when we walked out, and in that, like, people really showed like solidarity and like really congratulated us on actually standing up and being this present and showing our protest.
Yeah, we stood up for about at least only like 3 minutes before a person who represented the UN came over to us. And we were actually completely silent and fist in the air. And the moment she came over, and it had already been like 4 or 5 minutes, and she came over to me and was like, "You guys have to stop right now or you have to get out." And we were like, and I was like, I just shook my head. And then she kept pestering it and really made as much noise as we had ever intended to. And that was kind of like not only disrespectful to what was happening at the moment, and like being loud, but also just like making it bigger than what it already was. And then folks from the Krista, who is a part of an organization back in Chicago, and a woman from the U.S. HRN, the Human Rights Network, came over and kind of negotiated the space. And then a representative from the States Department came down and said, "It's fine. We don't mind." And so, which was funny, and I'll talk about that in a second. And so after that, and when the lady came up, my arm was like tired. And then she came up to me, I was like, "I'm definitely not putting my arm down now because you are like trying to push us out of here." And so we ended up staying, but whispered in each other's ears because we all knew how painful it was, and we agreed like we're gonna have our hands up for 30 minutes because that's how long Rakia Boyd's body laid in the alley before the police officers took her away. And so we hands locked in the air. And after a while, what was more painful was hearing the United States tell us that tasers weren't lethal weapons, to talk about detainees and immigration policies, to talk about the falsity or the appearance of health care for women and trans folks in prison, and just all of these lies and hypocrisy of everyday lived experience of the people who were there. We could not put our hands down. And then we knew we wanted to put our hands down when the UN began to talk. And so we we were strong. Folks were taking photos, and some folks whispered to us, and then they stopped and we put our hands down. And then shortly after, the committee members dug in. They like cut through all the bullshit. One committee member was like, I think you guys didn't hear my question.
Right.
I asked about tasing specifically, and you did not answer. And it was like rigorous and like so much passion. Belle Mir, who's like a little angel, like I was like so beautiful. Like she named and called out. Everybody really did, but that how black people exist in this country, and it was just amazing. Y'all see that on Twitter. We tweeted all day.
So yeah, the UN gave the U.S. 5 minutes break. The U.S. took 7 minutes instead, which I mean, kind of made me feel happy knowing that like all like our action on top of the UN's grilling of the U.S. actually like made them squirm again for a second day, and it wasn't because it wasn't just that we sent out a report. It was because we actually followed that report up with like actions and making ourselves visible and knowing that we weren't going to take any old BS answer.
Yeah. Just I mean, we're not supposed to be in that space. We are not supposed to be at the UN, right? And we're not. And I think we totally changed and encouraged a lot of people in the ways in which we did. And I'm just so happy and realizing more and more work has to be done. But I'm glad I'm here with these group of folks. I'm glad folks stood in solidarity with us. I got a chance to like talk to the state and like give folks agendas. Although what does that mean? But it was powerful.
Yeah. It was a powerful day, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back home and getting back to work.
Yeah, and we gotta do some push-ups because my shoulders was like crazy. True. All right, y'all. Thank y'all. Peace.